Well, I've always been told that effective communication is about simplifying and exaggerating. And I find that as a really useful sentiment when trying to bring things alive. Now, the interesting thing about you guys is that you really are out there saving the world. Most of us are just selling bottles of fruit juice, and you guys are dealing in life and death and human betterment. And weirdly, you guys almost, in some instances, almost come across as quite apologetic and a bit too humble. So I would say you can afford to exaggerate, or certainly accurately reflect the scale and the importance of what you guys are doing. I think there's something also about telling stories. That's what people will remember the most. The more it's based in humanity, the more it ends with a positive ending, but taking it from this was the situation, this was happened, and this was the little girl that as a result has now gone to school. It's a really powerful simplification and exaggeration of a human story. I guess the thing is just to keep giving things a sense of scale and grounding it to the reality of the people who you're communicating it to. For example, the Innocent Foundation is our separate little charity, and we recently did a 3-year review saying to people that we've donated £1.3 million. That has allowed access to another £6.8 million of funding. That has helped 500,000 people directly. That's 2,500 people for every one person in the business. Mm-hmm. And that was the bit where everyone in the business felt slightly different. They're going, okay, me, myself, from working here, actually, for the things that we've done, the things that we've sold, and the profit that's made has gone to help 2,500 people. And it was that sense of scale of 1 to 2,500 that made people feel a little bit differently about it. And then giving the story of those 2,500 people. Here's the story of one and how her life has changed, and how her kids now can go to school and don't have to look after the goats anymore. So it was simplifying and exaggerating, it was human stories, it was giving a sense of scale. I think those are some of the things that help capture and communicate the amazing work that you guys do.
The question is, how can Oxfam better communicate? And I guess I have several points of view on that. As a trustee, obviously, I have to care about where the money comes from, where it goes, what strategy is used to deploy it, what measurements we have in place for effectiveness of our work, and I do care about all that. But I guess I have another couple of perspectives. First of all, as a business person, I have learned one thing about communications, and that is that if you have an organization with lots of constituencies, you need to have one message, only one message. Tell employees, tell investors, tell donors, tell customers or people who are hoping for your help the same thing. Otherwise you're going to get into a lot of trouble and you're going to dilute your message. And I guess thirdly, as a human being and a supporter of Oxfam in that way, I think the best way you can communicate is to tell stories. To tell stories about the people you've helped, about the women you've empowered, about the steps you've taken to change the way we handle our planet, about all of the work that you do, because I've also learned that if you're not telling a story, nobody's listening to you.
Really good to see you, and very happy to share some observations. I believe that my background perception is more generally held, and sometimes at Oxfam, in its engagement with the wider world, there's a slightly holier-than-thou flavour which can come out, which would contribute to people feeling, look, these guys are just going to hector me about how good they are, make me feel about how bad I am, and I'm never sure whether they're actually going to do anything. Now, as it happens, I don't share those suppositions and those views, but I think that is a widely held belief. What can Oxfam do about that? Well, one, I think, is share actually what it's doing on the ground in terms of making decisions and making a difference to the lives of people in a very practical way. Secondly, I think challenge some of those fond areas of belief which people have got.
What we're hoping for is that Oxfam will really put itself on the line and say, this is the transformational change that we will deliver for children. We will get this policy incorporated that truly changes lives and that we know works, or because of our work, X more children will read or be able to do math, or fewer children will die. And it's that concrete change rather than working in a space and a series of activities that we seek in organizations that we partner with. We're also looking for Oxfam to use its scale to find those things that there is evidence that it works and that Oxfam's been able to achieve in one location, and to make sure that gets replicated across its geographies.